Love's in Need of Love today, the wonderful Stevie Wonder on BBC Radio London. So let's cast our minds back to Christmas, which may be a way away now, you know, seeing as we're on the 11th of January, but on the 7th of January, Christians from the Orthodox communities marked Christmas. But I wonder why these dates differ. I'm delighted to say that John Shinkwin joins us now. Thank you ever so much for your patience. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Jumoké. Thank you very much for having me on your programme. Yes, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, and Merry Christmas in arrears.
Thank you very much. That's very kind. Thank you.
Why do these dates differ?
Right. So that's a very interesting question for World Orthodoxy, because you may know that there are two different calendars operating side by side in the Orthodox Church. There are actually potentially three, but the main two are the revised Julian calendar, which most Orthodox churches follow, and that matches up, as it were, with everybody else's date for Christmas. But then there's also the older Julian calendar, which is 13 days behind. So Orthodox Christians all celebrate Christmas on the 25th of December. It's just that for some of us, the 25th of December is on the 7th of January, as it were.
I see. Are there different traditions, though, with regards to Christmas?
Yes, there are. Do you mean different from the Western traditions?
Yes, the
that might
Western
be familiar to
traditions.
listeners
Yes,
from?
exactly.
Yeah, there are some, yes. So, for example, our Nativity fast, we call it, which corresponds to Advent, is 40 days long, so it starts a little bit earlier. And it's very much modelled on what we do for Lent. And the connection between Lent and Advent, the connection between Easter, or Pascha as we usually call it, and Christmas is very strong, and that really comes through in our worship. So, for example, there's a hymn that's sung for Christmas that says, "Today is born of a virgin, him who holds all creation in the hollow of his hand." But that's sung to exactly the same tune as a hymn that's sung at just before Easter, in fact, on Good Friday, that says, "Today he who hung the earth upon the waters is hung upon a tree." And so as soon as you hear that, you suddenly feel, oh, wow, okay, I'm in that same mode, as it were. I'm in that same point of worship where definitely all the Christmas traditions point to Easter, and all the Easter traditions reach back to Christmas. So that's something that we experience quite deeply, to the extent that one of our great Orthodox writers writing in English in the last century, a man called Father Thomas Hopko, wrote a book called The Winter Pascha. That's to say, like the Easter that comes in the middle of the winter. And that's definitely the way we think about Christmas. So I suppose we've got that in the hymns. But in terms of the other things that we do, so yes, we have the 40-day fast, and then on Christmas Eve, as we usually call it in the West, but that's the 24th of December, we do something called the Royal Hours. And we also have the Royal Hours on the day before. We also have the Royal Hours on the run up to Good Friday as well. And that's a long series of readings from the Old Testament, from the prophets, and then from the Gospels as well. I suppose a little bit like the service of 12 lessons and carols, that kind of thing that some listeners may be familiar with. But it's essentially trying to go through the whole story of God coming to save his people, you know, in the world, going basically through the whole Bible, as it were.
And I'm also curious. I know, I can't remember when it was. It might have been last year. I was hearing or reading about someone who had decided to convert to Orthodox Christianity. Yes. What is the process of that? Because and how does it differ from, say, I don't know, you just want to become a Christian? I mean, it sounds like it's quite a process.
Yes, there's quite a long preparation for baptism. That's right. I mean, in a sense, the baptism is the way that's the way you become an Orthodox Christian, or sometimes actually chrismation as well. That's to say, the Orthodox Church will sometimes say, okay, well, we recognise that you're coming from another tradition, and you can be received by chrismation, which is like confirmation, that some listeners may know from either the Catholic tradition or the Anglican tradition. But yes, the process is quite thoroughgoing. You often have a period of as a catechumen, that's to say, is someone being formed and prepared for baptism. And that can last, I guess, anything between 6 months and a few years, really. And I think in the early church, it did tend to last rather a long time. And that's really to give people a chance to make sure that they really do want to do this, because it's a radical change in your life. I mean, I converted to Orthodoxy myself, and it's like everything changes. So,
and why did you? What was the appeal, John?
Well, I studied theology, and the more I studied, the more I found myself agreeing, or agreeing is the wrong word, but I would say recognizing the truth of what the Orthodox Church was teaching, and I just thought, right, I can't stay outside this any longer. It was somewhat inconvenient because I was actually training to be a priest in a different tradition.
Oh, wow.
So it was kind of funny. but they were lovely about it and very supportive. But yes, it is a huge tradition. And for one reason or another, I think we don't really fully understand why, we've had a real surge in the number of people wanting to become Orthodox Christians.
Really?
Yes, the online catechesis program, the online it's called Discover Orthodoxy, that's run by the Archdiocese and in particular by one of our priests called Father George Chaprati, who is a British-born Cypriot with a very lively Brummy accent. He runs that on a Tuesday night, and it's an online thing. About 900 people are signed up for that at the moment.
Lord, wow!
Yes, absolutely. And whereas in previous years, usually around 50 people were being baptized each year for some years. Just a couple of years ago, that suddenly went up to 100. And then in 2025, the number of people baptized at Pascha was in that group was 200. And this coming year, we seem to have 400 people who've already said that they would like to be baptized at Pascha. So something is going on. I think we don't fully understand what it is, but something is happening.
And I'm curious. I mean, once you get your finger on the pulse as to why that's happening, it would be very interesting to have a conversation with you. What about the services? I mean, for some reason, I don't think I've ever attended an Orthodox church service, actually. So,
you'd be most welcome.
Yes, I think I'm definitely going to come. Absolutely. But my sense is that it's incense. I don't know why I associate incense with.
That's absolutely right. We do have incense. Yes.
Right. Okay. Good. But also, but tell us about the language. I mean, is it a particular language? Is it English? Is it just explain how the service itself works?
Yes. So in terms of language, that really depends on the community that you go to. So the Orthodox Church is a family of self-governing churches that are all in communion with one another and hold the same faith and the same worship. But in terms of the local expression of that can be very different linguistically, certainly. So in our archdiocese, that's the Archdiocese of Thyateira in Great Britain, which is under the ecumenical patriarchate of Constantinople. Sorry, it's all a bit of a mouthful. Most things in Orthodoxy are a bit of a mouthful, if I'm completely honest. Not everything, but many things. And we worship in a variety of languages in the UK, in English for some of our communities, and in Greek for some as well. Well, for many, in fact, because many of our communities are from, or have many people in them that are from either Cyprus or from mainland Greece. And we also have in the United Kingdom, there's the Romanian Orthodox community, which is very vibrant as well. The Russian Orthodox community, the Antiochian Orthodox, there's the Georgian Orthodox. And I apologize to anyone I haven't mentioned this morning because of how early it is. But basically, it's in all of these different communities, you will have a different. Either a different language or indeed just a slightly different tradition of music or chant, but the words are absolutely the same. We're all saying the same words, and the faith is shared. So yes, but yeah, you might hear Greek, you might hear English, you might hear Romanian, you might hear Russian. It's actually Church Slavonic. You really, there's a great variety of things that you might hear, but there are plenty of services in English, and we have in particular an English liturgy every Saturday morning in our main cathedral in Bayswater called St. Sophia.
John, what a delight to speak to you. Thank you ever so much
really lovely to speak to you too, Jumoké. Thank you very much for having me on your programme.
A real delight. John, thanks so much. That's John Shinkwin from the Archdiocese of Thyateira and Great Britain. I definitely must go to an Orthodox service. Right, 7:30, time for the news.